Where did it go?
Tappity tappity.
It's all trimmed up. We're good.
We're good?
Good.
And I can hear my samples. Fantastic.
Justin.
Good morning.
Perfect.
Got your puffer jacket.
It's like super. It's probably like 1 or 2 Celsius here right now.
Oh,
I'd say
that's a bit
1.
brisk.
It's 34 Fahrenheit. Did I do it right? 34.
Chilly.
1.11. That was good.
You're good.
A year into this, I can now do Fahrenheit to Celsius. You've influenced me.
And the test is, what season is it in Australia right now?
Should be summer. I just saw somebody say something about how hot it is. That was doing some sanding or something, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's still hot there." How's it going?
I was chatting to a friend the other night, and we're teasing some Americans, saying that even the best of you seem to be perplexed by the fact that it's summer at Christmas time here.
Yep. Yeah. That is. It's very confusing in my head. It's just, I don't know if I'll ever get used to that idea. I mean, like, I guess we have that circumstance. It's not a summer weather still, like people in Florida and probably very southern California. Like in California, when it's cold, it's 60 degrees there. So 15, they think it's cold. They like wear coats. There's all these great photos of people wearing like winter jackets, and it's like 60. And the rest of the country is like, what do you mean? It's negative 20 Fahrenheit in Minnesota right now.
How are you?
Good. I've had 2 straight days where I got in and went straight to the mill room, which feels like things are getting done. So that's nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. Working on pedestal parts, and it's going smoothly. I broke a tool yesterday, but other than that, it's been pretty good. I got that fan, Haas chip fan going, and it is intense. I can feel air outside the machine when it turns on.
Really?
7,000 RPMs. I have a 10-inch fan. I made a video of it. It's pretty good in terms of production.
Yeah, I just saw something on your Insta.
Yeah.
With your drainage holes and everything.
Made my drainage. Yeah, it worked pretty good. I should have tried the chip fan separate, I suppose, but it was easy enough, and it actually made the second operation hat removal a little bit faster and smoother, so it was worth it in the end. Yeah.
So you're just running those parts for the pre-order?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's been good. It's good to like just run that thing more regularly. It's felt it's been a decent amount in the last week and a half, and starts to feel normal. It's good to have Ricky back. He's making noise now too.
I can hear. Hi, Ricky. Can you walk away from the mill yet, or are you still sort of babying it?
Well, yeah, I can, especially with those parts. So that's about a 20-minute cycle, and I could probably push it faster, but it really gets into a place where it's like fussy, like annoying to walk away for, shorter amount of time than that. And
Yeah.
I've been kind of working. I have a little mini PC thing in there, and I work a little bit on that. But it's pretty tough to like run cycles and do anything else. Like your mind kind of it's hard to get set up into something else and then constantly need to go back to it. So ideally it would be a larger fixture that can run more parts longer, but it's working, and I don't want to spend more time. I'll do that in a downtime maybe, if it makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And this is running on the fixture, on the Pearson pallet?
Yeah, yep. Pearson. It's pretty much everything now. Like I haven't taken that off since I put it on. I have actually some more blank pieces that aren't Pearson pallets yet, and I really need to like turn those into Pearson pallets. And it's kind of like a I need to have a name for it, but it's a chicken and the egg problem because I don't have a way to hold them.
Yeah.
With the pallet, so I like have to take a pallet and like clamp it. Like, what am I gonna grab a wood clamp and like smash it to the sides so I can like put the fixturing in? I need to make a pallet that is basically just a fixturing for other large parts. I haven't done that kind of thing yet, so that's my next step.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
It's up to you.
Oh, yeah, back in the swing of things. Getting some, just driving the social wagon and trying to generate some sales.
Got that.
Early in the piece for a title option. And I've signed up we're going to mix up our marketing next month. So I think we're going to scale back our digital spend significantly. Maybe even go cold turkey.
Yeah.
Which is something we've been playing with for a while. An idea.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like, yeah, our cost of acquisition just keeps going slowly creeping up and up and up. And we're not.
Yep.
I mean, just in itself, that number creeping up says enough. But, we're not sort of feeling the return, I suppose.
Yeah.
And we just feel like we've given it enough time and we want to switch things up. So investigating some alternative marketing options at the moment. And I've just signed up for a 7-week campaign with one of these, like, I'm sure you have similar places over there. Like, it's kind of an agency that targets architects and interior designers. And they'll go out and spruik our products for a 7-week period. And they're specifically targeting architects and interior designers who have, what's it called? Architects Declare. So they're agencies that have said, we're going to be carbon neutral by, I think it's 2030. And we will try and use suppliers who are also on the carbon neutral wagon. And so this agency is going to go out and target these, I think it's the 1,100 architects with our products, specifically kit parts. So I've been working on a presentation deck this week, which will be kind of the deck that they present to these architects. So slowly piecing that together. Downloaded InDesign again. I haven't used InDesign since uni. Been fun.
It is a satisfying little tool, though. It's like, I always thought, why can't Photoshop do this? But
why can't Word do this? Yeah. Microsoft Word can go and, yeah.
Same. I don't have that. I refuse to use that software.
Find a ditch. Yeah, so working on that presentation and just trying to fill in the pieces where there's stuff missing. So I went out to that Chinese herbalist dispensary that we did late last year and shot some photos of that last night.
I feel like that one's really testing the weight capacity or like the integrity. Like every time I see it, it's like, that's really stacked up, but I'm sure it's lightweight.
There's a lot of glass jars on it.
That's true.
But yeah.
It's true.
A lot of glass. A lot of high value glass too, because the contents of those jars are not cheap. So yeah, trying to get some case studies together for that and pull it all together. I've got about one more day to finish that up before I present it to their team. And looking at a few other things, sponsored the local football team, like the women's AFL team here.
That's fun.
So we're going to get LB on their uniform, which will be cool. And just really questioning the digital marketing model. And we're going to give it a whirl. Going to push the organic stuff really hard and just really commit to producing regular, high quality organic content and see how much traffic we can drive there. Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, but feeling good about having made a decision.
I've had similar, it just continues to creep up, and we've had very little sales of any products.
Still slow.
Oh, yeah. It's been since like the second week of January. We've had like a handful of sales, and the, ROAS just like there's no conversions from social stuff and it keeps spending. So I have my reaction is always drop it down until I see it do something and then I bring it back up. And I know that's probably the wrong thing to do, but it's just like, I can't justify spending money on something that's not, I don't know, returning anything at the moment. I'm sure the experts would say that's not how it works, but I don't know. I've always felt like that's an experiment, and it just never, like it's only recently, like in December, started to like have any return. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't understand it. It seems like it's constantly evolving. I don't know if you follow any of the like law changes, and like it seems like both Google and Facebook or Meta are being like sued by half the countries for something they're doing that's monopolistic or something bad. So yeah, interesting times.
Rumors of TikTok being turned off in the States.
Yeah, that started with the Orange Man, and seems to have never really happened. But you know, I think some of that's a tactic to try to get them to cooperate, or I don't know what I'd do all night.
How do we get to sleep?
How would I get tired? This is sitting around right next to me, and I just have to heft it up.
Oh,
I finally made it.
Bible.
It's actually really well printed.
It looks beautiful. I wish I had one of those.
It's 4,440 pages.
Justin's holding up the McMaster-Carr.
It's like heavy.
Printed catalog. He's made the big time.
Ricky came in with it the other day, and he's like, "Were you expecting anything from McMaster?" And I was like, "No." And I saw the shape of it, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if we've finally, like, I think I said this before, but I think we hit this quota in the last year where we broke some threshold with a couple things. Like now we get free overnight shipping upgrades from them, which is kind of addictive. And then this showed up. It seems to have triggered the same time, you know, like, and took in a little bit longer, but I'm sure there's some metric now where it's like, well, this customer is going to become a better customer because we've given them these perks, which is an interesting plan. You know, honestly, it's like, it makes me think about how those things, you know, someday if we had some type of recurring customer situation where, I don't know, I'm not going to send them a tome of 4,000 pages, but it's an interesting idea. Old school. I'm interested to your marketing, to go back to that. I'm in that bouncing back and forth between just too many things, you know, as always, but the sales and marketing, I just haven't spent much time. It's like my interests go all over the place, and I haven't spent enough time trying to like sell products, and whatever was working seems to have faded away. So it's always interesting to hear how you're tackling it. I thought about I don't know what you called that, your replacement for using Meta was to basically give your marketing dollars to customers, right? That would, like, as gift cards or, you know, sales credit.
Yeah.
That was a
bit of a flop.
Oh, really? It seemed successful from the outside.
Didn't get much. Did it? We just got very low engagement with people actually posting and tagging. Like, what we were asked for was someone just to post a picture of our product that they bought, or even product that they liked. But yeah, usually someone would buy a set of shelves and then, you know, post a photo with the right tag, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we only got a few people per month who actually engaged with it. And so we very quickly got to a spot where, like, the same person who'd won last month was probably going to win the next one because they could take a decent photo, and out of the 3 people who had done it, you know, they had a
disqualified.
Pretty good chance. So we kind of let that fade away because it wasn't really achieving what we wanted. But I don't know, it's such a roller coaster. Like, we've had, just in the last week and a half, we've had Shopify sales pick up again. Like, pretty much back to our target So I don't know. It's really, yeah. And this is why ultimately I want to go cold turkey on digital ad spend for a bit. Just I want to be able to tell where those sales are coming from, how much of it is being driven by Meta ads, which are still running.
Yeah.
And Google's really expensive. Google's the platform that I'm kind of most comfortable with because it's targeting people who are actively searching for, bookshelf. And then it's like, oh, here's an ad.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, turn it off, cold turkey, see what happens to web traffic, all of that. Try and get a better read on it.
I like that was always one thought I had about doing the NACWAL marketing was to get in contact somehow with a magical list of interior designers that I didn't have access to. So that seems spot on to me. And from being part of the field and knowing people, it is highly effective to get in front of architects. The thing I would say, if you can think of something you can put on their desk that they like to use or to look at, a cup, the stupid one that I always remember was like a stack of paper notes on a little palette, and it was like from Uline, stuff like that. That's like a cup holder, mug holder, like it's constantly reminding you of what that thing is. A little set of shelves for their desk knickknacks from Like Butter. A butter dish for their
tiny little working model of kit parts. Micro machine.
Oh God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Little tiny threads.
Yeah. You could print that resolution.
Maybe an SLA.
We were toying with similar ideas of cool, once we've got these architectural designer leads, what do we, what's our follow-up process?
Mm-hmm.
What do we send them, if anything? Yeah. Because I've seen, I think we've all seen those rooms at architects' offices, which are just filled to the brim with material samples and brochures and stuff that just get piled in there and
dumped out
probably never
so often.
Yeah, so we don't want to end up in that room. But yeah, I like your idea of a desk knick-knack.
Not to go too crazy on it, but I would say if that really two things I think of: make it easy for them to have things they can specify with, like your material information, or CAD files really effective. You can gate them still, right?
Yeah.
Behind something, but if you want to, but make them easy to get, and then make it easy for them to drop it into their projects. And you can probably work with them on what would they want for that, but that's the secret sauce is if it's easy for them, because my wife will never hear this, but the joke we always have, she has no idea how much anything costs. She just likes how it looks. For projects, I'll go oh, those are really cool lights in your project. What do those cost? I don't know. No idea. But she found them and put them in the project.
Yeah. No, we're at the other end of that, where you get specified into a project and then you have the builders trying to beat you down on price because the architect specified something that's out of budget.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. It is what it is. You got the one thing that people want.
Yeah.
Feels like forever since we talked last, but I don't know why.
Does feel like that. Yeah, I did in my week off making a chair last week. I did a few cheeky quotes late one night. Went and had whiskeys with my favourite client.
Cheeky quotes.
And pumped out a couple of quotes for him on the spot.
Oh, okay.
Some incoming little jobs. And got back on Monday and I got in trouble because I put these quotes through the system and the client had approved them. And then the guys back here, they had quite a short lead time on them. And at the time I'd asked the question of so-and-so's asking if we have machine capacity to, run a few sheets of acoustic felt next week, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'd asked the question because I wanted an honest answer of no, Jem, we don't have capacity for that. Or yes, sure, we can slot that in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because I was off-site and unavailable, I can totally understand why there might have been a sort of shit, what is Jem committed to? I guess we better say yes. So yeah, I got back, got a paddling on Monday morning from the team for having thrown these quotes and stuck a spanner in the works. But it was interesting to get back and kind of be not told off, but like kind of held to account. You stepped outside of process. We've built up all these processes. And you just stepped out
Yeah.
of the process last week and kind of broke it in terms of, you know, they'd been trying to manage machine time to get this big job across the line. John machining like 5:30 every morning, like kind of doing a split shift to get this job out the door. So yeah, totally understand why that caused a bit of angst in the office in my absence, but an interesting sensation too to kind of be held to account by your team.
So you're coming in to finish them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can imagine. I think it's good, right? Like I think it'd be pretty bad if you just could do whatever you want and nobody said anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jim goes and makes chairs and makes new orders that are due in no time, and nobody likes it. The chairs looked cool. Well,
yeah,
I was
a beautiful chair.
Thinking about what do you do with one chair? Did you have a place in mind when you went to go to it, or you
No.
mixed match chair family?
We're a very mixed match chair family, but haven't decided whether it's going home and being put at risk of the children or whether it lives at work. But it's a very comfortable sort of dining chair, so it should probably go home. But realistically, I spend more time in chairs here in the office in some way, so we'll see.
That's Jem's sitting chair. Cool.
But yeah, great course, great experience, and yeah, really nice piece to have. And I was just blown away by like how strong proper tenon glue joints were. We're using hide glue, which is cool as well. Like you heat it up and brush it in. Just like amazing
glue?
bond. Yeah, like boiled animals.
Oh, animal glue. Interesting. Oh, never heard of that. Oh, liquid hide glue. So it's basically like an alternative to PVA. PVA? What's that stuff called?
I guess so. I guess it's a more traditional adhesive from before we had PVA. And you can reheat it. Like you can sweat joints apart by reheating them, which is cool.
Weird.
So technically better for repair work down the track.
I didn't know about this.
Speaking of real wood, you got yourself a combo plane thicknesser.
What a transition. Yeah. We can make wood flat on two different sides now again.
Amazing.
We might have the same machine. I'm not really sure. The Jet JJP12, I think.
Sounds familiar.
Been made for a long time, I guess, but I found a good deal on. I was looking at all the combo machines, and everything else was either a poorly designed machine or way too expensive for what kind of use case we needed. So I found one of these Jet combos there's like an interesting surplus store near us that I found out. This is an interesting situation where I've known about them for a while. They're like up by Seattle, and they get Jet, and then Jet has a lot of other brands like it, I guess, or that they have the same kind of manufacturing family. I don't really understand. But this place is like one of the only places in America that gets the scratch indent, or like basically stuff gets damaged from its way, like from Asia to here or whatever else. So like it's just a factory full of like barely damaged machines, like the paint scratched on one. And it's a candy factory. Like there's so many cool, like very affordable machines. And I had this little trailer, and I was like, oh, what else could I bring home with me? No, don't do it. Don't buy a metal cutoff saw. We don't need that.
Tempting. Yeah, we have the same machine.
Oh, we do have the.
Sorry. What? I'm still perplexed. What are you doing with one of these? Decking your aluminium billets?
I have thought about that.
On two sides?
That would be interesting. I mean, yeah, we're still we just go in such weird phases of like either client work or our own projects where we either use a set of tools or don't anymore. Like, I think there's just times when I still see it as a necessary tool for just very basic work in the shop that,
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, jointing seems to, like, to me is like it's the baseline of all solid wood, right? Like if it comes in rough at all, you got to make something square to be able to cut it accurately on a even if you're putting it on the CNC router, sometimes like one face won't be flat enough to keep in a sensible way, and it's way more cost effective to just run it through that real quick than it is to do a bunch of weird setups to make individual weird pieces fit on the router.
That's
I don't know, prep work. Yeah. I'd say, yeah, this is exactly why I was trying to downscale those tools, because we had $5,000 worth of 2 tools that were taking up floor space we didn't use very much. And so I'm now down to like, that machine was $2,200 after tax, which I had to pay in Washington. And I still have my other machine to sell, so I'm going to net a couple of grand and have more space.
But how much solid timber?
Not a lot lately. That was part of the thing. I don't know. It just felt really wrong to totally get rid of it. But yeah, I get it. I get the question. Like I'm quoting 2 things right now that are solid material, solid wood. Cool. Yeah, it goes in weird batches of needs.
Yep. Always good to free up some floor space.
Yeah.
I have very little sense of like what your shop actually looks like. I feel like I've never seen like a wide angle shot of it. Almost no. I couldn't draw it. I couldn't do a floor plan.
I can barely, but I think because yours is so much, you've shown up above, I have no idea where the tools are. That's why the other day, when we did the secret show, we were talking about how many machines you had. And I was like, wait, there's another one? Where did that go? Where is that at? I did a shop tour back when, I think it was the end of 21. It's probably outdated now, though. I was thinking about doing a new one.
Me too.
It's kind of a fun, it's kind of a fun, different type of video to make. Like, you know, get enough questions about how certain things work that it's kind of valuable in a weird. Actually, I've used that shop tour more than once, that video on YouTube, to go back and go, how does that fit in the shop? Like I'm at home, you know, like, is there space to fit something there? You know, like scrub through and find that spot.
What do you mean? You don't have a fusion model of your workshop?
It's outdated.
Yeah, I've got some old Rhino models that are outdated as well. Still handy though, occasionally.
Yeah.
I get in there and move some stuff around.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your multi-axis fixturing?
Look, I came back inspired from Chair Week, thinking about coming back to my milking stool, which I haven't made any progress on. So getting funky angles on the pencil sharpener, cooking. Mm-hmm. So whether that's threaded mortises on the underside of a seat base, machined in on an angle, or getting like kind of cross tenons through a leg for like little foot rails and things, but all threaded. So the other day I was trying to work out how to design a kind of like a vice accessory that goes in a 3-jaw chuck, but that then holds round stock like perpendicular to the chuck.
Oh.
But also like clamps and unclamps.
Oh.
I think I was making it way more complicated than it needed to be. But I was trying to imagine a collet that kind of came out and wrapped around the stock, but it kind of was spring-loaded so that as the 3-jaw chuck closed, the round stock was grabbed on the perpendicular at the same time. But yeah, just kind of starting to think about that again.
That's tricky.
And yeah, get some R&D cooking. Got some ideas?
Yeah, I'm itching for that myself. I feel like I'm getting closer. I was urged recently to not put that off completely, as I have been, because I just feel like I'm so easily drawn to just working on new things like that I can get locked in. I'm like, oh, well, only this is what I want to work on now. And I forget about the last projects. So I like, my defense against that is too, somebody's really, I mean, Ricky can maybe ask me after a month of doing the wrong thing what I should be working on, but nobody's holding me to account, unfortunately. So my defense is just to not let myself go that far with it. But I really have at least 2 things I want to be working on that's new.
Cool. Yeah, I've been given, my doctor has told me that I need to get more sleep. So other than this early morning recording session, I've pretty much given up on my early morning playtime. And I'm trying to work out where in my normal working day that I can slot that in, because I've been, off the tools for must be almost a year now. And that early morning play session kind of felt like the perfect spot to slot in some machine time, CNC time that was not interrupting production time. But if I'm not doing it then, I need to find a different time slot in the week or the day or the week where I can pop that in. I was thinking about, not making anything formal, but just trialing, not coming in on a Wednesday one week and then working the off day on our Friday when no one else is here. Just doing a few little cheeky exchanges like that. Because it was so good having that public holiday day to myself in the workshop a few weeks ago. It was so good for my mental health and sort of sense of worth and satisfaction.
Definitely.
Trying to work out what the natural progression to that is, but yeah.
That doesn't probably do the same thing for you to work on the design, but not the making of something that you're prototyping.
I'm so attached. Yeah, I could try and develop that skill, but I'm so attached to the being guided by machine processes.
Yeah, sure.
It's been my go-to way of working for so long now that I want Fusion in front of me and I want the machine in front of me and I want to just sort of fiddle.
I mean, the other thought I had about that is what is the type of machine? Is there one or a set of smaller machines that you can use to prototype with that doesn't have to be, it's basically like tool room machines, right? They're not full-scale routers. They're a Shapeoko or a desktop mill or something, whatever your tool du jour is that you can be able to, because it does seem similar to what the mentor person I've been talking to is describing to me after spewing all my interests and how important it is to keep working on new things all the time. And it, to me, often, I think we both said this recently, that it feels like you're getting away with something sometimes, it's oh, I'm working on new things. And it doesn't feel like it's, well, at least to me, it doesn't feel as important as the current work. So then it gets pushed off. Yes. But really what you're doing is defeating yourself 3 to 6 months down the road or whatever. So if it's that important, what is the tool needs you need to keep that moving?
Yeah. I've never really thought about the tool room tools. Interesting idea. I feel we've had quite a stressful week here financially. The first time in ages, I've had some sleepless nights of cash flow is really terrible right now. And how are we going to fix this? So yes, that all feels very inaccessible. Any sort of expense or new thing, but my mood is so closely tied to.
Oh yeah.
That whenever we dip under a certain point in the company bank account, my mood just dips with it.
Yeah.
This little emotional trigger. But and then we have a few good leads come in and some promising work in the sales department. It's we'll be all right. We'll get through this. It'll be fine. We'll be back on track. So riding that wave.
Yep. Been there.
Yeah, but tool room tools are interesting. If I do want to work on the same time frame as production, then that might be something we should look at down the track. Cool idea.
It's definitely tough. It is hard for me to imagine having full-blown like vertical mills or something that, even though they're designed to be lesser, that they cost $70,000 to $90,000 or something, and they just sit there most of the time. I mean, I kind of have that already, so like I can't imagine having more of that, but like intentionally buying that, I guess. So it just mostly sits there. But I know none of our machines cost that much, but yeah, I don't know. It's been useful. I would say the thing that, which probably won't help you too much, but 3D printing has, in a large way, especially through some of the weirder small things of the NAC wall development, even if that didn't turn into anything, it really evolved my thinking on how to move through things really quickly with, like, prototyping wise with 3D printing, because it's so accessible, like so quick, even if it takes a little bit, you know, like if you machine a part versus a 3D printed part, you're trading off the setup time for the, like, you know, execution time sometimes, but in the end, you also can do a lot of other stuff while it's just sitting there doing its thing. You're not babying a mill to not crash. So
yeah, I need to get into a habit of using our printer more. Such a good tool for stuff like this idea for the multi-axis sharp thingy for the pencil sharpener. I could just be printing one of those in the background and, you know, quickly jumping out on the floor and throwing in the pencil sharpener. Test. No, that doesn't work. Cool. Pull it back in, print another one. That really wouldn't interrupt John at all, and it would be making progress. So maybe I'll try and do that today.
Yeah.
I see you going pretty hard. Hang on, where's the sample?
What's new in Software Corner?
You've been going hard in Airtable with automations.
I just get these bugs every once in a while of like being frustrated or finally mentally working out the process of how something could work. And I've been wanting for a very long time that if our inquiry form doesn't work perfectly as intended the first time, meaning somebody uploads files for their job in that initial inquiry submission, which understandably, I'm going to get that. Like, people want to contact, they want to talk about something, they want to know some detail before sending files. All understandable. But what happens then is getting those files back related to that inquiry again is it's just disconnected. It never works very well. And so I sent you a very messy, confusing screen share to understand it, which I feel like often the way that these automations are set up are some kind of like mad hat crazy thing that somebody thinks up and it's impossible to edit again, but if it works, it's awesome. Yeah. And in this case, if this makes any sense, we have the RFQ table, I think they call it, and then made another table that's like an upload, so it can take the form. And the key to it was to use a pre-filled form URL from the original RFQ email that goes back to the customer. Yeah. And so then it's pre-filled with a project number and their email. And so when they click the upload link in their initial email, it takes them to the form on the other side, and they can upload files to that. And then the automation in the background moves the file back to the original RFQ.
Cool. Fancy.
I've only tested it. Nobody's done it yet, but I'm excited if that works, because I used to use like Dropbox and then have to like download and move the file, and I would forget. And yeah, it all.
So it only works if the customer clicks on the right link to submit an extra file, right? Like if they just email you independently, then you have to assign that back to the job.
Yeah. What I've done though to deter the email file problem, because it eats up your email space, is I just have really low attachment limits. It's like 3 or 4 megabytes, I think. And so they immediately bounce back and people get like, hey, I can't send you files. And I'm like, yep, I know.
Cool.
So the Dropbox had worked. It was just it just always was disconnected. And there was just too many of them all the time. I would be like, you get the thing and it would say, oh, you didn't send us files. Can you send us files? And then they would send you files, and then they'd be like somewhere else. Anyway,
Ping pong.
messy to explain, but it should work amazing. I'm hoping.
Cool.
What also cool about that too is if the pre-filled link isn't used, you could still just use your job number and email and it would still work. Because the job number always is translated in every subject of the email we send to them. So yeah, it's an interesting little thing.
The screen share you sent me is called Justin's Wild Friday Airtable Automations.
Yep. Very wild.
Friday fantasies with Justin.
Yes. Only for a few. You can think it. Somebody's got a thing for it.
Very niche. Yeah. I've been, as I mentioned, I think last week or the week before, I've been rebuilding my to-do list, as I love to do every few months.
It's our thing.
It's really just my part-time job, just rebuild my daily system.
Yeah, I do the same. Do the same thing.
I've been in workflow doing that, and I think I finally nutted out my default diary for the first time this year, like a month and a half in. All built within the structure of our flight plan or business plan. Mm-hmm. So everything that ends up in my calendar has to have a home back in my sort of core business plan. So that's been really interesting to put things in and be like, that doesn't really have a place. Maybe it shouldn't be in my default diary as something that I focus on every day. So that's been cool. Yeah. And then just using, a complex series of links within Workflowy so that my days are structured and that I click on every one and it pulls me back into like a sub list within the business plan. The things that I need to do within that category, so I can filter it down and be like, cool, I'm in my shooting time slot now. Click on shooting and it takes me through to my shoot list of things that are outstanding that I need to photograph or video for the website or socials or whatever it is.
Interesting.
It's been effective thus far. But yeah, early days, really, I feel like I'm only just getting into a rhythm of that sort of default diary structure again this year.
Yeah, I haven't been
at all over the shop.
Yeah.
And do you feel ineffective for the lack of it?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you feel like you're getting through things?
I would say that I've never fully done the kind of default diary thing. It's mostly like I'll get a couple of them set or I'll see the reminder to do those things. But I feel like so often with any type of regular schedule in my life, it doesn't feel applicable whenever I'm going to do it. It's like, oh, I don't have production things to do today, so skip that. And then the next thing comes up and I'm like, well, I'm busy. I can't do that one right now. This is more important. Like there's always exceptions that probably aren't even true that I just convince myself of. But no, I feel whenever I get into any type of rhythm where I follow those things and follow the intention I set out ahead of time, and do it, I feel like Superman. I'm like, oh my God, I got 4 things done today, guys, like that I actually intended to. Yeah.
I think that's part of the idea behind the default diary too, is that you kind of, depending on how you set it up, you're inherently tracking your performance on it of like, this is what I was supposed to do, did I do it? This is what I was supposed to do at this time, did I do it? And so you get to the end of the week and you have some sort of feedback loop of like, I did okay with these things, I missed this sort of stuff, and then you can kind of feed that back into the next week. Improve. Continuous improvement.
I did this thing for a while, years and years ago. I did it for a lot of years. There's this app called Streaks that I use, which sounds like a bathroom related thing, but it was simply just things that you would check off, and there was just like nodes or buttons on the app, and you could set them to whatever. Some of them could be, eventually they got to this kind of like mini automation, like I walked 2 miles today, or like all those like Apple Watch related things. You could have those like automatically check off, but the idea was take anything you want. It could be a positive or negative thing. Like I didn't do some type of hard drug, or like I had 6 glasses of water today, and you could like check those things off. And the idea was you were gamifying some of those things to be a point where there were a streak of how many times you would do it. And that worked for me for a while. And now I just have no interest in that gamification anymore. I'm just like, yeah, don't care. Who cares? Who's going to see this?
Too busy just playing milling machining games.
Yeah. That's my new version of, the whole Rule 34, where it's like if you can think it up, somebody has a thing for it, an interest of a certain type. I think there's a new version of that where if you think it up, somebody has made a game that's a simulation of that thing. In which case, I was joking with some friends about, I bet, why don't we just have a CNC machining simulator? And I got sent this link, which is CNC milling simulator. And you just run a Bridgeport. And it costs $20. You can pay to do what people get paid to do.
Fantastic. That's a training tool, right? It looks pretty realistic.
That was, yeah, I guess so.
It's pretty funny.
I do enjoy simulators and in other ways, but it's never usually a thing that I do during the daytime. Like, I'm not really into like do sales quotes, at home for a game. Like, no.
For those of us that don't have Bridgeports or CNC mills, maybe.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
A place for this.
What if it worked though? What if like there was this guy, as a sad result of the story, but the reality of it was kind of amazing too, that there's a person that stole a plane in the Northwest in America. A proper giant 100-some person passenger plane, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was under 100, but is a ground crew member and had just kind of a mental break, but had played a lot of flight machine simulators, and thus he could fly the plane.
Amazing.
Like, it worked to the point where he was zooming around, and they sent up fighter jets to make sure he didn't crash into Seattle, and unfortunately chose to crash on a desolate island. But crazy that worked. It was enough of a training that he could take off a passenger jet and successfully fly it around for 50 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
Maybe this will work. Maybe we just need more people to play CNC Machine Simulator, and we'll solve our manufacturing shortage.
You can send it to your potential hires.
Can you play this game? What's your score?
Prerequisite for working at PDX. What's your score?
Can I come join?
Cool.
What a weird game. Yeah. You want to hit the hot lap energy or no?
Oh, we're just back into hot lap season. Do you want to hit the hot lap energy? What a question.
So yes.
We are back into hot lap season, which means we're a couple of months behind. So it's been about 5 months since we did it. But we're taking everyone for a lap in the sunshine, talking about their job.
Hot
just
laps
every
right
time I
now.
do it, every time I do it, I'm like, this is so good. It's such a nice energy that comes out of it, of sort of connection and, I don't know, trust. And yeah, you can just feel it in the room. When we're in this, it feels like everyone's had an opportunity to speak up. Not that they don't normally, but a sort of a more intimate opportunity to chat and reconnect personally and professionally, and just a really nice result.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to do.
I think Ricky and I do
That
that
is
every third day on accident. It's probably not to the same
Nice.
degree and intentionality. Yeah, that's cool. That doesn't feel too frequent at times for you?
Sometimes going into it does. It's like, wow, we're up to that again. That was quick.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Talk through the same questions, because they're pretty much the same questions every time.
Mm-hmm.
But once we're in it, it doesn't feel too frequent.
That's good.
It's an interesting little sort of finger on the pulse too, because like there's questions of like, you know, what are you excited about at the moment?
Mm-hmm.
And like if you're getting that little feed, that answer every 3 months, it's like you track it over time, you can kind of see where people's interests are sort of waxing and waning and their engagement, and you know what reinvigorates them and what doesn't. And yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
It's very effective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to do a little bit more of that. Something about the 2 people company that just makes it. We've been doing a little bit more like. We used to do more like happy hour, which is like social events kind of thing. And when it's just been Ricky and I told him, I was like, I don't want to force you into having happy hours with me. Like just me and you. So it's like, let's just like go to lunch instead.
Nice.
And he's like, I've never felt like that. And I was like, I don't know, man, I understand like you're going to say the nice thing, but like if I had to like go hang out with my boss every month the same way, I would be like, I don't know. It's even if you really like each other, like you can still, there's no escape, you know? It's just you two.
Yeah.
Well, my last thought.
Yeah.
We are definitely growing our support in Patreon, which we appreciate. And if that's not something you can do, then one thought that I had that's really helpful to us to grow the show is to write a review on your favorite podcast place, Spotify, Google. I think the most helpful is Apple Podcasts, if you would like. And ideally it would be a positive review, but anything you can write would be great. We'd appreciate that because that helps kind of push you up the rankings.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who is there supporting the show. It's awesome. And just, thanks to everyone who listens regularly as well.
Yeah, for sure. Comments, questions, we'd love to hear from you as well.
And if you are on Patreon, we're coming up to our first quarterly hangout.
Yes.
So get in a Zoom room with us.
It's consensual, I swear.
Yes, very consensual Zoom rooms. I promise.
All right. Well, till next week.
Cool, man. Till next week. Have a good day. Bye.
See ya. Ooh.
Play them all at once.
What's new
It's
in
coffee-
Software
it's co-
Corner? It's coffee time.
It's good stuff.
Symphonic. Get in a Zoom room. Justin and Jim.
That's a perfect segue, Jim. Sign up for the Patreon and get the secret show and the quarterly hangout. It's the cost of one fancy coffee a month. Do you even need fancy coffee? Why, yes, you do. Just get the coffee in our Patreon too. It's just money. Act now. Don't delay.